Wow, wow, wow. We are back. We're back live. We're back live. What's up, y'all? What's up, my great, amazing, dynamic people? Good Lord have mercy, man. I'm excited to be back. Just making sure my lighting in here is straight. Um, we don't want to dim no lights. We want to make sure the lights are on point in this place. But man, I'm excited to be back. It is Tuesday yet once again, as you guys know. Or let me introduce myself if you don't know. So my name is Jerron Tyler, founder of Posterity.ai, AI-powered business credit platform that helps entrepreneurs build, grow, maximize, expand their business credit profile or their business funding to its maximum capacity. And man, each and every Tuesday we come here and we chat, we talk, we answer questions. And so today, I'm excited to dive in for all of my listeners out there, man. I've been seeing you guys. You guys been running the views up. If you're not already subscribed, man, like, comment, subscribe. But I've been seeing a lot of views based on what we started. So, man, that's a great thing. Hope and pray that you guys are gaining insight, revelation, even deeper understanding to help you journey along the way. And with that being said, we're going to get started in a quick second. Just making sure my lighting is halfway decent. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get started. And man, I hope that you guys are taking this information in and ultimately putting it in your bank of understanding that you may be able to go out and actually, man, gain some success and gain some traction along the way as you're going through your funding process. And so, with that being said, let me just lower this light and we're going to go ahead and get started in a quick second. Let me dim this. All right, I guess this is gonna have to be what it is. But yeah. So with that being said, man, I want to share with you guys a bit of my notes. So I talked to my banker yesterday, and I talked to my banker and gained some really good insight. Something that I felt valuable enough to share with you guys. Because as you're going along the way with funding, man, as I mentioned to you guys prior to, man, when you're going through funding and you're looking to acquire funding, it is really a strategic game. I got revelation before that. Some engagements in life require aggression, speed, and some simply require patience and strategy, right? A lot of times people will try to jump into a thing just because you have the information. Man, the world is overwhelmed with information, but what the world needs is revelation. The world needs understanding. King Solomon said, in all of thy getting, get understanding. So you can have you can have access to a thought, to an idea, to a piece of information. But the reality is, if you don't have revelation on the timing, if you don't have discernment on when you should do a thing, man, you can completely miss the abundance, miss the approval, miss the blessing. And so, man, that right there is key that I hope and pray that you guys are garnering from these lives, that you guys are truly getting understanding from the lives, truly getting understanding as you're going through the process. And so, with that being said, let's go. All right. So, I'm going to share the title of this live is just simply me sharing my notes from my banker that I spoke to yesterday. And so he brought up an amazing concept. And he was talking about his bank, his institution, and he used this word appetite, right? This word appetite. He said, and our bank has a appetite for these specific industries. And as much as I don't want to deter anybody from any specific industry, I think it's imperative that you have an understanding of the pros and the cons when it comes to funding for your particular industry. For example, if somebody's just starting out and they want to start a trucking company just because, perhaps you saw somebody online, perhaps you read a book, perhaps your uncle used to be in trucking, perhaps one of your neighbors was in trucking, and you heard, man, we could make $40,000 a week. We can make 20,000 a week. We can make 15,000 a week. We can make 50 grand a month, right? That's just in revenue. But after you pay your driver, after you pay for fuel, after you pay for repairs, after you pay your truck note, your insurance note, perhaps you're only netting 6,000, 7,000, which is not bad money. But again, I want you guys to understand the fullness of the pros and cons prior to going through that. Funding in and of itself um, actually does not like the trucking industry. Now, it's not that you can't get funding if you are in the trucking industry, but the reality of it is very difficult to just go to any bank and apply and go get truck financing, right? Or go get a credit card if you are in the trucking space. And so, with that being said, I want to go through a few of the industries that my banker said that they have an actual appetite for. They desire it. They want it. Like they're like ravenous wolves, if you will, when it comes to these particular industries. Okay, number one, electrical. Now, I personally love the electrical industry because I read an article that said that I want to say about 15 to 20% of the new millionaires that'll be created will be created in that space. Obviously, with AI, with a lot of the plants, man, we're going to need electricians like never before. We're going to need people that know how to navigate tech and wiring and things of that nature. And I just overall believe it's an amazing trade, amazing skill set to have. I mean, everything is powered by electricity. And so with that being said, they have an insatiable hunger, desire, and appetite for the electrical industry. When you think about even the electrical industry, one of the other things that's amazing about it, and one of the things that you'll see as a common denominator through all of these industries that I'll mention, is that these industries are no-brainer industries when it comes to the marketplace having a desire for them. For example, if you live in a house, an apartment, a condo, an efficiency, a dorm, wherever you live, if somebody's lights cut off, they are calling you immediately. They don't care your race. They don't care your belief systems. They don't care how short you are, how tall you are, how fat you are, how skinny you are. They don't care anything about any of that. They just care about, can you get my lights back on? And so it is a industry that if you go into it and you are certified, you are licensed, you are educated, you are well studied, and you are able to get somebody a result, then it is not difficult for you to get to garner a customer or a client. And so that's one of the things that the bank is thinking about as well. If this person is in this industry, all lending is based on risk factor and capacity. All right, number one, capacity. Do I have the capacity to lend? Number two, if we lend, do you have the capacity to pay us our money back? Right. And so the bank is looking at that. And when you're talking about the actual electric industry, or being an electrician, right? It is not difficult to garner a customer. It's not difficult to garner a product. To garner a client. Now, another thing when you start talking about this industry is that I want you guys to take note of this and notice all business is based on supply and demand. All business. Like the strength and the power of the business is based on supply and demand, right? And so it's one thing to have supply. You can have all of the supply in the world, but if your business does not have any demand, then the business does not have any strength or any power in the marketplace, because what difference does it make if I got a whole closet full of clothes? I got a whole closet full of Gucci jackets and nobody's buying them. There's no demand, right? And this is a conversation for another time, but that's one of the things that will drive inflation, right? You look at an example like something like a car lot, right? You have a car lot, and I'll give you guys an example. So when COVID happened and there was a chip shortage. And as you guys know, all vehicles are running on chips right now, right? There's some type of chip inside of vehicles, helping to power the technology within the vehicles. And so with that being said, there was a chip shortage in the midst of COVID. Well, because there was a chip shortage, they could not produce cars as fast as they wanted to. And so with that being said, there was a limited amount of cars on the lot. Well, what happens when there's a limited amount of cars, but there's super high demand? That drives pricing up. So now you have $25,000, $27,000 Honda Accords that are now going for 33,000, 34,000, 35,000. Right? You got four, five, six, $7,000 markups in a car. And so again, what does that speak to? That speaks to the demand, right? That speaks to the demand. And so that is what banks are looking at, right? Is your business in demand? Is it super difficult for you to garner a client? Is it super difficult for you to garner a customer? Is it super difficult for you to have some type of meeting in the middle of commerce for your business? And again, when you start talking about electrical work, that is not difficult at all, right? That is not difficult at all. Somebody can go to electrical school today or tomorrow and become a licensed electrician, and your business, you will have activity in business today. Go get you some business cards, put it on people's cars, do a little marketing on social media. That ain't no hard business to navigate. So again, they love that. Another one that's similar is plumbing. How many people do you guys know that's having a plumbing issue that's saying, you know what, we got a plumbing issue right now, but man, let's wait till next month to get it figured out? No. If you have a plumbing issue, that is something that you want to get done today. You want to get that done right now. You want to get it done ASAP, right? And so with that being said, plumbing is also another industry that banking institutions love, specifically the bank that I was talking to yesterday. If you are somebody with a plumbing business, man, reach out to us. Reach out to us. You can connect with us either on posterity.ai. You can connect with us. Great morning. Great morning. You connect with us on posterity.ai. You connect with us at Tyler Coaching and Consulting, JeronTyler.com. We all over every single platform, but connect with us, man. We can help you get funding. The next one. Now, this is a really good one. When you start talking about mechanics are also, or the mechanic industry, if you will, is also another industry that people or banks love, specifically this bank that I was talking to. So they love that business. However, here's a key for you guys. They love the mechanic space, but they do not quite like dealerships. All right. So this is, a potential workaround. Let's say you're somebody with a dealership, but you've also added an auto shop or a mechanic shop to your dealership, and you were to go apply for funding. Well, question is, would you go apply for funding as a dealership, or would you apply for funding as an auto mechanic? Right? You go in as a mechanic, you get the funding that you need for that leg of the business, and you keep it moving. This is one of the reasons why a lot of people don't get approved for funding, simply because when they're going in for funding, they're applying for the wrong thing. They're applying for either the right thing at the wrong time, or they're just simply applying for the wrong thing, period. Right. And so you have to be able to navigate and have a deeper understanding of how the actual systems work and what you are applying for. But again, if you are a mechanic, you have a mechanic shop, you can show revenue, you can show your debt schedule, you can show profit and loss, you can show tax returns. This is a home run. All right. And again, the whole purpose in garnering money is not to be able to use the money just to blow it, but to use the money to make more money, to use the money to sustain your business, to use the money to expand your business. These are the purposes of money. And one of the things that I want you guys to know is that the primary purpose of money is to help you make more money. It's the primary purpose, right? And so whatever you believe in your heart it is for, then that is what it'll manifest for in your life. Right? If you believe that the primary purpose of money is just to pay bills and to, work your job 30, 40 years and to, hopefully retire and, man, make sure you got all your bills paid on time, then, man, that is a noble way of living. Right? But from my vantage point, I want to put my hand on every dollar, and I want to use that money to flip that money. I want to use that money to beat inflation. I want to use that money to continuously stay ahead of the curve in the economy. Right? And so that's what you want to use it for. The next product that you guys, or the next industry that is valuable to this particular bank is home improvement. So if you're somebody that remodels bathrooms, I would even speak to fixing roofs, if you're somebody that does flooring, if you're somebody that overall does painting, right? Any type of home improvement, you develop decks and balconies. These are indeed some really, really, really solid industries. Okay, that the banks love. And just having all of your ducks in a row, and making sure that your business is strong and mature. All right. The next one that we have is government contracting. Government contracting is a really good one as well. Right. So for my entrepreneurs out there that are doing business with the government, they have an insatiable hunger for that. All right. Now, one of the things that I would do is, if I were in the space, here's my recommendation of what I tell everyone: go get as much credit as you can before you need it, because it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. The next thing that you want to do is you want to get that money and then put challenge yourself, right? I believe in this notion. Obviously, me coming from the basketball industry, basketball field, man, I'm never gonna let nobody put more pressure on me than I put on myself. Same way in business. I'm not gonna let nobody stretch the bar farther than I'm gonna stretch the bar. I'm gonna stretch the bar the farthest for me, right? I'm not going to let nobody come in and say, well, this is the goal, and now I'm trying to meet the goal that they placed upon me. No, I'm going to stretch further. So if they tell me, oh, well, man, you need to, you know, be in a position where you can at least make 500,000 a year. No, how can we make 5 million a year? You want to make 5 million a year? No, how can we make 50 million a year, right? You put more pressure on yourself than anybody else puts on you. Okay. Don't let nobody else put more pressure on you than you put on yourself. And so with that being said, the next thing that I've been sharing with entrepreneurs and expressing is that, man, when you're going through your process and you get money, you get funding, if you will, right? Boom, you got funding. Okay. I got funding. Now I'm going to go into a space where I act like I don't have the funding. Well, Jerron, what would be the purpose of going to get the funding and now you get it and act like you don't have it? You get it and act like you don't have it so that you can properly manage your money. The worst thing that you can do is go out and get 50, 60, $100,000, and now you just spent the whole 100,000 and you don't even have a real business model. You just spent the whole 100,000 and you don't even know how to sell. You just spent the whole 100,000 and you don't even know how to sit in front of a client or a customer and do a presentation to sell your product. These are essential, valuable skill sets and assets that every business should have. And I'm saying that I go get the money, I sit and act like I don't have the money. Why? Because I believe in delayed gratification. You have to be a believer, a proponent, and a champion of delayed gratification. As much as you would like your business to boom and blow up overnight, the reality is greatness takes time. Maturity takes time. Building a strong, firm foundation and brand takes time. And so if you're in a situation where you think, man, I'm just going to go run up $100,000 and man, I am just going to, run all throughout the earth because now I got 100 grand. That is not the best way to go. I want you to get that money and I want you to store that money up for the future. I want you to only utilize that money when you see a clear-cut opportunity to double your money or to keep your business going and flowing. I want you to put that money to the side, and the same way you went and got that money, I want you to develop your sales skills. The same way you went and got that money, I want you to develop your communication skills. The same way you went and got that money, I want you to build a dynamic brand that would draw clients to your business like never before. These are the skill sets that build out the holistic business, not just funding. There's so many different other aspects to a business. You got marketing, you got fulfillment, you got staff, you got your digital footprint, you got payroll, you got all of these different aspects to a business. You got legal, right? You have all of these different aspects, and so you got finance, which is one of the most important ones, especially whether you're running a nonprofit or a for-profit business. You got some very vital components to this. But what would happen if you went out and got $50,000, $100,000, but you didn't need to use it? Well, Jerron, why would I go get it if I didn't need to use it? Because you never know what might happen in business. As a business owner, you want to have solutions on every side. Okay. Apostle Paul said we were hard pressed on every side, but not crushed. I want to make sure I got solutions on every side so I'm not crushed. I want solutions. I'm going to win in the high and the low. I'm going to find a way and a pathway to victory. And what I'm giving you guys right now is the solution to not only stay afloat and survive, but to thrive. I'm giving you a solution right now to thrive. So many people go in and they say, oh, well, I had to stop because I didn't have the money. I don't believe in that. I believe in finding the money. But the best thing that you can do is put yourself in position where you already have the money, but you don't even need the money because your skill sets, your brand, your product, your service is bringing in so much capital that you can live off the money that you're making. You can pay yourself out. You can pay your staff. You can invest in your high yield money market account for your company. You can invest in a Roth IRA. You can invest in cash value life insurance. You can do all of these things just off the money that you're living off of, but you have money in the cut. Well, Jerron, again, why I need money I need money in the cut because I don't know what opportunities are going to come my way. I don't know when I want to expand to a new market. I don't know when I want to hire more salespeople. I don't know when I want to. Right? My old manager in the car business, he said, man, you want to make sure that your credit is tight so that you can pick, choose, and refuse. When you walk into a dealership and your credit is 504, they're picking, choosing, and refusing for you. You walk in there with a 750, you tell them what you want and what you're going to do when you're going to do it. And that's the autonomy, the power, and the overall dominion that you want to have in business. Okay. And so yeah, I get excited. But yeah, there we go. All right. So the next one we have that's super low risk that this bank absolutely loves is they love attorneys. Why? Again, the common denominator that you guys are seeing with these businesses is that these businesses are low risk because they have the capacity and the propensity to draw in revenue like now. They have the capacity and the propensity to draw in revenue now. They have the capacity and the propensity, man, to easily garner a client. All right. Even when you look at these industries, how many lawyers you know walking around irresponsible with money? Right? It's not that they're non-existent. I'm not saying that. But if somebody is a lawyer, they've gone through enough schooling, they've done enough studying, they're helping people fight in the legal realm. So why in the world would they go out and take $100,000 and just blow it and not pay it back? No, they're not going to do that because they know that they will get sued. Right? So again, another low risk industry. The last one that I want to talk to you guys about is health. The mental health space. If you guys are anywhere inside of that space, whether it's counseling, whether it's therapy, these are also, I mean, obviously, man, in the pandemic, man, therapy, mental health, all of it just skyrocketed through the roof, man. I just think during that time, people became more sensitive, more aware of their feelings, emotions. A lot of things were exposed during that time. And so with that being said, that is surely another industry, man, that somebody could go into and ultimately garner funding. Another thing when you start talking about funding that you guys are going to probably hear me talking about a lot, not probably, but you guys will hear me talking about a lot. Man, I'm so passionate about this thing. All right, there's a holistic approach when it comes to this overall business, running a business. And one of the things that is very important that you guys keep on the forefront are taxes, right? And so you have taxes, you have business credit, you got revenue, you got savings, you got payroll, you got lines of credit, credit cards, loans, all of this. At some point, it gets to a point where it's not how much you make, but it's also how much you keep. And so not how much you make, but also how much you actually keep. So one of your strategies could be, I have an overwhelming amount of cash flow. I really don't need the credit. However, if you were to go out and just get, these are two Amexes right here. If you were to go out and get two Amex cards, right? Let's say you got an Amex, you got a Navy Federal, you got another Amex, and then you got a Amazon Prime business card, right? You go out and get these cards and you say, hey, I have an overwhelming amount of cash. I really don't need the cards. However, I could utilize these cards and implement them into my tax strategy, where I have a card for marketing, I have a card for travel, I have a card for gas, I have a card for hotels, and I have another card for, company parties. And perhaps I spend and perhaps I pay monthly on those cards, but I'm also able to deduct a portion of the interest that I pay on those cards in order to maximize my tax savings. Again, if you have delegated or designated cards specifically for expenses within your business, that alone is a strategy that I would talk to my tax advisor or CPA about. Because again, the card is a business card and you paid X amount of dollars in interest. A lot of people do not maximize that strategy because they say, well, I already have enough cash. I don't need to touch a credit card. Well, it's more than just leveraging debt. It is also a actual tax strategy that you can utilize for tax savings. Because again, yes, I have money, right? But yeah, you have money, but how much are you paying to the IRS? How much are you paying Uncle Sam? Are you strategically allowing that money to stimulate and simulate all throughout the economy? All right. Another thing is you can do the same thing with a line of credit. Line of credit is going to cost you daily interest. But if the shoe fits, wear it. If you can utilize a line of credit and you can pay a little bit of interest on it, and at the end of the year, you can deduct X amount of dollars from that, and that's less money that you got to pay to the IRS. Does that make sense? Yes or yes? Right? And so that's something that I would talk to my tax advisor or tax professional about. And again, you could do it strategically. I like to be very organized, but it's tough to do it when you kind of utilizing 15 different cards for 15 different things because everything is all over the place. But if you have one card, right? You have one. So, like, for example, this is my ramp card, right? This is a card that I have with ramp. Now, with ramp, I can utilize this and say, man, all of my expenses on ramp are just for gas. It's gas. So it's my I got a money management tool, if you will. Or I might come here and say, perfect. So I got a Lowe's card through American Express, right? This Lowe's card through American Express. I'm a real estate investor. I remodel homes, whatever the case may be. Well, I'm spending money on that. It's not a net 30 card, so I can carry a balance. And as I'm carrying a balance, I get a statement at the end of the year with all of my interest that I've paid on that card. I get a statement at the end of the year. Everybody gets a statement at the end of the year. And you'll probably even see it all throughout the year. But again, you can see how this takes extreme organization to, man, walk this thing out, walk this journey out. All right, so that was the next thing I had on here. So tax write-off versus tax planning. So when you start talking about, I was talking to my banker. He was like, yeah, and this is something that we talked about in the mortgage industry as well. He's like, man, if somebody's looking to go get an SBA loan, somebody's looking to get a business term loan, just make sure they don't write off everything that previous year. That's so vitally key. When I was in the industry, and even as you can see in the business credit space, one of the worst things that you can do is go write off everything. Now, Jerron, why do people write off everything? People write off everything because they're trying to show a loss so they don't have to pay any taxes or any money, right? But if you do that, then you're showing underwriters, whether in the mortgage industry or in the business credit space, that, hey, man, I'm writing this money off because I'm not making any money. So if you're not making any money, then why in the world would I give you money? Right? Like, if you're not making any money in your space, right? You have a business and you just wrote off 60,000. Like you technically wrote off, or you had a 30,000, a 70,000, $100,000 loss that year. So you're technically saying that you profited no money. Well, if you profited no money, then why in the world would I give you a $50,000 loan? Right? It makes more sense for you to come in and say, man, we grossed $200,000, but I only netted 70. Right? We grossed $200,000 and I netted 130. We grossed, $200,000 and I only netted 60,000. Right? I mean, regardless, you want to show that you're in the green somehow, but people are writing off. And this thing used to kill a mortgage. You talking about something killing a mortgage? You talking about something killing a mortgage? A mortgage loan officer's or a mortgage professional's worst nightmare is an entrepreneur that's in business, or, well, generally, if you're W-2, you're not going to write off a loss unless you have a business as well. But worst nightmare is a mortgage loan officer's, process of reviewing somebody's tax returns that just came up with a visible business or unseen business, and now they didn't wrote off $30,000 last year. It cuts the income down tremendously. It kills the whole deal. And so, man, I like the idea and the concept of man, building real businesses, real businesses along the way. Man, shout out to everybody joining the live right now, man. If you don't know, my name is Jerron Tyler, founder of Posterity.ai. Man, quick commercial break. Man, we help people build, grow, and expand their business credit and business funding to its maximum capacity. If you need funding, if you need understanding, you need coaching, teaching, training, like, comment, and subscribe. And one of the links are down below. You can click, man, one of my links, man, to book a call. I would love to talk to you, or somebody on my team that love to talk to you, baby. We're running all throughout the earth. Hello? But yeah, man. So back. All right. So with that being said, that is one of the worst ways to navigate your tax returns, because your tax returns could technically, man, knock you off course. Now, specifically talking about SBA loans in that regard, or a term loan. All right. There's some products that business underwriters, there are some documentations that business underwriters do not ask for based on product, right? So if you're talking about a business credit card, very rarely will you ever have an underwriter ask you for tax returns for a business credit card, right? Rarely ever will you hear somebody ask you for tax returns for a business auto loan. Very rarely will you hear somebody ask you for tax returns for a fintech line of credit, right? However, they will ask you for tax returns for a traditional line of credit. A traditional line of credit is you going to, your community bank, your regional bank, your a CDFI, you went and got an SBA loan, right? They are going to look at your actual tax returns. So with that being said, if you have to show tax returns and you're showing every year that you wrote off $50,000, you took a $50,000 loss, and you're not in the green, that could kill the deal, right? So again, man, I want you guys to be on top of that. That's one of the things when I first started out. I kind of like started my business journey as a salesperson in the automotive industry. And to be honest, I'm just selling cars, giving my information to my tax person. I didn't really even know what was going on. Like, all right, you just got to file taxes every year and you can get some money back, right? But I want you guys to be on top of that, understanding, man, what is really happening when I'm giving them my tax returns, right? What is really happening? If you gain understanding in that, my friends, man, not only will you have full understanding and you'll be monstrous in the marketplace, but you can also create a business even out of that, right? You can create a business out of it, right? So, man, that's just something else that you guys, really just want to keep in mind. All right. Next thing, man, that I discovered yesterday as I was talking to my banker. So, LMI, Larry, Mary, Emmanuel with an I. So low to moderate income areas have different underwriting rules. Wow. What in the heck? Different underwriting rules. So for my people that live in low to moderate income areas, your underwriting dynamic or rules, if you will not be the same as an individual that lives in a quote unquote affluent neighborhood, right? There's a little more leniency. They become a little more lenient. You may be able to have a lower credit score, make lesser income. Obviously, you won't have super high amounts when it comes to funding, but you can get some funding, right? So just something to keep in mind along the way. And man, with that being said, man, we are going to jump off Man, appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Thank you for tapping in again. Jerron Tyler here with Posterity AI. Woo! Thank y'all for tapping in, man. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and I will see y'all on the next show, the next episode, baby. Let's